Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to review Joan of Arc, the draw and write. Yeah, because it's not a roll and write, right?
No, you draw and then write.
Yeah, and you kind of draw on your board too. Anyways, this plays 1 to 5 players, about 45 minutes, right? With Teach, I would say that was actually pretty accurate. Because we had a little bit of conversation going as we were getting some stuff set up. We had to correct a bunch of rules that Mike was trying to teach us wrong.
Yes.
Right.
I'm just kidding. It was fine.
After how many times did you play?
No,
Setup's different at every player count.
It's all good. Yeah, quit playing it at different player counts.
Yeah.
But no, this is Orléans, the sequel.
Yeah.
Reiner Stockhausen's newest game based on Orléans.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by the artwork,
The
right?
Clemens Franz
They
artwork.
fixed the wrist.
Yeah, she fixed her wrist as she took her helmet off.
Yeah.
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 Amazingly.
And she's got a quill. So
Yeah, she's writing now.
yeah.
Because it's
all right.
a draw and write.
That's funny.
Loving
So,
it.
okay.
Not
all
so
of,
much. but
All
off
of that
the bed.
aside, Mike, why don't you give us a brief
Sure.
overview on how to play this, please?
Yeah, so I bought this one because I thought it seemed interesting. Newest release from Reiner Stockhausen. So, yeah, I guess I'm the pro in the room today, which is very rare. So, what you're going to do on your turn. First player takes 2 of these chips.
2 to 3, depending on player count.
Yeah, well, let's just
In a
assume this is
four-player
a
game?
4-player game.
In a 4-player game, you take 2 of them, set them to the side. That's your holding area. But then you actually draw 5 different chips.
It's
and then,
number of chips per player plus 1.
Yep. So then you draw your 5, and then you're going to choose one to perform an action. There are 6 different types, and they all perform different actions. So if I choose a white one here, I am filling up my trade good, my warehouse stash here, and there's bonuses for filling up columns and rows. If I take one of these red workers here, I get to move along our little track. Every time I go over something, I'm going to take the benefits that I cross over. It's also going to allow me to move to these other trading houses here that we'll talk about in a second. I can also take one of these brown workers. They gain me a coin that I get just by circling one of these coins in the bank. Or I can spend one of my coins, cross it out, and build a city over here. To build a city, I'm just going to outline it like so. Everybody can build a number 1. Or sorry,
0.
0, which is Orléans. That's where you start. So you start from here and you're branching out. But all the other locations, only one person can build there. And you do that again just by circling it. Everybody else crosses it out. That means every other player can no longer build a trading house in that city. So you kind of are paying attention to which direction people are building their routes. So there is some player interaction, which a lot of roll and writes don't have. Your gray one here works up this. Is it the scriptorium? Did we determine that?
I call
The
it
book
scriptorium
trap?
because Orléans calls it the
Scriptorium track.
It is-
Yeah, so you get the monk
It's
and
your
you move
point
up the,
multiplier.
The wizards.
As you go up this, you're going to get these stars. They're a modifier. You're going to get more coins. You're going to get more monks. You're going to get more points. So you got to get this track moving upward for more points.
Do I?
You got your blue guy. Well,
you were supposed to.
what did Dan score again?
Yeah. You want to rehash
Take
that?
2. All right. The gray ones give you the book. So, yeah, going up that track, modifiers. Blue works as either getting you a coin to fill your bank, or that allows you to move up the river tracks, much like the red worker does. Last but not least, that is the
noble.
The noble here, and he allows you to gain a coin or build one of these cool locations, which is now an improved action you can do. In the base game, the first time you play it, they suggest you just use the locations that are already on your board, but you can also randomly set them up and you'll have 5 columns of 4 so that every game can play slightly unique. And these are exclusive to the player that builds them. So if I build a stable, I'm going to circle it. Every other player is going to cross it out. They can't build a stable. And what these locations are, they're improved versions of stuff you can already do. So instead of just getting a trade good from a white worker, now I can get a trade good and a coin. And there's so many of these here, and you can make them different every time you play. With 5 players, you fill the bag up 4 times. So you play until the bag is empty, and then you're going to do that 4 times. And at the end of the 4th bag fill, you're going to add up your points. Those are actually at the bottom, so just real quickly, I'll go over them. every trading city is added to these citizens that you gain. And citizens are a
trophies.
multiplier, but they're a race to see who can get to them first. Like, if I fill all of these things in over here, I can get this citizen that's available. If I'm the first person that builds this trading house down here, I have a citizen available. There's citizens in the bank and even over here in the bank and in the warehouse. So trading houses you've built plus citizens times the number of stars you get along your script track. So that's a point, or multiply. That's a way to get points. There you go. You also get points from all of the trade goods that you filled in. That's this little shield here, and it shows you how much you get for filling them all the way across. You get points in the bank, so the second row filled is worth 4 points. Or if you happen to fill your bank and then spend all the way down this last column by crossing them out, here's another 7 points to be gained from there. You got points from these monks. So monks are wilds. You'll gain monks during the game just by being the first to fill up a column in your bank. There's other places to get them. But there also, you always have 3 monks available to you every game. The first one that you use, if you don't use them, you have a potential of 7 points to be gained. But the first one, you lose that 1 point, or you lose those 2 points, or you lose 4 points for the last one. Not lose points, but those are points you won't gain at the end of the game.
There's a little box at the bottom, right, that you write down your cumulative score for your remaining monks there.
I didn't spend my last monk, so I gained 4 points for that at the end of the game. And then your shield track, every time you fill the bank or you gain goods of stuff that you've already filled, you are going to get more shields. So all of those are points that you add together at the end of the game. That's literally how to play the entire game.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, not bad.
There you go.
I mean, there's a reason it plays in 45 minutes, even with near max player count. We didn't play with max, but really it wouldn't have added that much time to the game.
Another go around with the bag.
Round.
Yeah, been bad.
That's the whole teach almost. I mean, there's more clarifying on the locations and when things trigger, but even with a teach, we played in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. All right, guys, let's go into our thoughts on the game. Bob.
Yes.
Get us started.
Ooh, okay. I really enjoyed this game. I'm a big fan of Orléans. It's one of my games that got played a lot, like especially like back in the day. And then like COVID happened, and we did a lot of less bag builders and whatnot.
Right.
And that kind of group by like Sarah and whatnot, like that was one of her favorite games.
Oh, sure.
So I haven't really hit the table a lot recently, but this is a nice lighter version of that. Like a lot of things work, exactly the same and how you would. The iconography is very similar, and it's kind of like a more streamlined type of version of it. And I enjoy it. I really like it. Like the cards are neat that they swap out each time, so you can add a little bit of variation as you play. It does have a little bit of the samey like, I pushing the scriptorium, try to grab that citizen first. I'm trying to push that coin, try to grab that citizen. So like a lot of people are trying to rush the same types of things to get to the multipliers that are only available once. So does suffer a little bit from that, but it's still enjoyable for me.
Sure. Dan, you love roll and rights. I can't wait to hear what you think.
So to counter everything Bob just said, I don't love Orléans. It's fine. I don't get the crazy love that game seems to have from people that I know. And I also, as just joked about, I just tend not to enjoy rolling rights, drawing rights, flipping rights, any of those things. Rights. I just don't find it a fun genre of games. I don't understand. There's so many cool mechanics out there, and I just think that writing with pencil on a paper just isn't what I want to be doing. And don't get me wrong, I love doing that stuff. I can just sit and play Sudoku for hours, but that's when I'm in the mental zone of playing Sudoku. When I want to play a board game, I want a board game. And so I just tend not to have fun playing roll and rights. That's just a personal thing for me. And this one didn't blow me away or anything like that. I had a fine time playing it. Again, every time I play a roll and write, I go, oh yeah, that was fun. And then they're like, okay, so today we're playing a roll and write. And I go, like, that's just who I am as a human being. And yeah, so this one falls in a very similar thing. Yeah, I mean, I like the growing on the map. I also did very poorly this game. Not that like impacts my scores, but I'm just saying like trying to figure out what I should focus on while playing this stuff is just interesting for my first game. Trying to see, I mean, I ignored the shield track completely, and I also did not do much on the scriptorium. track, which I understand was important. I just never had a chance. I felt like I was just working on so many other things that I do feel like maybe specializing is a good thing in this game, just because, like, I have a good amount of this done. I have an okay amount of this done. I have some of this done. I have some, and, like, I got nowhere with that. So I feel like maybe being an expert at one thing and dabbling in the others is probably more effective in this game than just trying to do a little of everything. But as a first game, I can't possibly know that. So I was just trying to mess around, see which mechanic I liked most, and then kind of going with that, right? And yeah, so this feels like any other one that I've played to me. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Not too much for me to talk about with this one.
Mike, do you want to go last since it's your game, or do you want to go next?
for it.
Okay. I love Orléans. I think it's great. I do love that game. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, just like Dan. I don't know why I love it. I just do. Dan doesn't know why I love it or why Bob loves it. No, but I think Orléans is a great game. Fantastic game. So I was excited to play this. I typically also do not love roll and writes. There are some that I really do like, but it is definitely not my favorite genre. Style of game. But I try to be open to all of them because you never know when you're going to play a game and you're like, what? Like, this is the one, right? Like cartographers, right? Flip and right. Like, I love cartographers. Play that anytime. So I kind of do fall into the category of, like, this was fine. I wasn't as miserable as I could be during some roll and writes. I was punished for, like, Dan spreading out. Dan and I spread out on a bunch of different things, tried out a bunch of different things, and we by far had the lowest scores. I had the lowest score. But I had fun, like, just kind of goofing around and seeing what I could do. So it wasn't, and it's also so fast that who cares that I didn't have a very high score. When I play a 3-hour game and I know I'm out of it in 2 rounds, that sucks. But it was also pretty evident that just kind of lollygagging around and like, oh, I'm going to go over here now, and oh, I'm going to try out this track, this turn. Bad strategy. Totally terrible strategy. And then also because of that, and this isn't a criticism on you guys. You guys know how to play the game, and you guys, I mean, we all play games competitively, right? You guys were working angles that you knew would be viable paths to victory, and your scores were very close. Sure. So by the time it's like, oh, I probably should start getting some of these citizen guys, there were none left. By the time it's like, oh, I should build some more trade houses, I had the opportunity and the ability to build where other people did because of a building I had purchased, which was super cool. But the problem was I was spending my money doing other things, like buying buildings, which is a thing I like to do when I play games like Lords of Waterdeep and other stuff. So anyways, terrible strategy. It's not the fault of the game. I do think, though, that if you're playing with new people or people that tend to like lighter games, because this would be one that would be like, oh, you play this with a family, it's a roll and write, it'd be easy. Well, if you don't tell them to rush those things, and I could see them getting soured on this very quickly because people that know what they're doing and are like
going to rush those things
are going to rush those things.
Sure.
And I think that will color their experience.
I feel like in general, anything that has a limited supply of multipliers is something that should typically be rushed.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct.
But I saw how difficult it was going to be to get those citizens, and it was just like, man, I don't know what to do.
Casual gamers are not going to, A, come in with that mindset.
Right.
And B, they might go, that looks really hard to get to. I'm just going to go do the stuff I think is fun.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm going to build up other things. Because, I mean, I filled up good portions of my board for nothing. For very little payoff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, that was my own experience. This game's fine. I didn't hate it. I don't dislike it. I'm not running out to buy it. I'm not taking it to family stuff because I feel like if the minute that somebody cracks the game, the more like casual, like, oh, I just want to hang out and kind of play a game.
Right.
Those people are going to be turned off by this immediately. So I would just say know that going in. It's very well designed. I enjoy it. I think Mike put coin capsules on his bits. It does improve. We like the
Yeah. I was going to ask if it was the Kickstarter edition or something.
Clickety-clack experience of that. So highly recommend that you do that if this game sounds good to you, because it does improve the experience for us.
Technically, so Orléans does have a, I think they have Geek Up bits and whatnot for them, like acrylic ones, and it's literally the same thing. So you could just take those guys and
do that also.
A couple things I'll add is that this game is a game of hidden combos. There's a lot of stuff in this game that if you line it up right will cause a chain of events, which can give you a huge turn. But none of that is obvious when you're looking at this and when you're doing it. You just kind of see like, oh, wait. If I take this action, I'll get a coin, which gives me a monk, which lets me proc this action, which lets me fill this up, which gives me a good, which then procs a column, which gives me more coins. And that is a crazy turn. But it's not really super obvious when you're looking at it. So it's kind of something you got to learn over time, or take the time before playing and kind of look at this and be like, where can I figure out combo stuff? Like, if you really hardcore care about it, I wouldn't suggest that. But like, what I'm saying is you're going to slowly, like, slowly exponentially are kind of opposites, but like get better at this game as you start figuring out what things chain together really well. Because I wasn't expecting that while playing this game, and then I had a turn that gave me like 6 actions, and I was like, oh wow, so that is in here.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, did you explain in the teach how the cards replace the things? Okay. Yeah. I just thought that was really cool. So we were playing
improves your actions.
Yeah, we were just playing with a slight variant where instead of using this whole section of the board, we had cards out that had some of the same, but some even more interesting and different actions. And we were buying those and putting them in front of us. And I thought that was really cool.
That's the stack.
Yeah. This whole, I don't know.
There's a bunch of them.
But I just thought that was a cool variant, and I would probably want to play with that most of the time, even though the actions don't change tremendously, but having a market of cards that you're building and you see them upgrading 1 through 5 is just
improved actions.
To me.
Improved actions are always awesome, right?
Sure.
You just make those guys, but you are also then at the mercy of those citizens being drawn out of the bag, and then B, those same citizens you need being available when it comes to you to pick.
But one of the things that you had pointed out, what's kind of nice about it is Dan might rush those buildings early and get 2 level 1s. Now the level 2s are unlocked. You don't have to have a level 1 yourself built. Just 2 level 1s,
and I appreciate that.
Had to be built.
I like that building system a lot.
Yeah.
Like the way
I
that
like
they do
the
that.
synergizing that you can do with these locations, aka buildings. Like, for example, if I've built the library and the archives says every time I recruit one of these gray workers, I'll gain a book, and then I can also input that gray worker to get 2 more books, therefore getting 3 out of 1 worker, where normally I would have only gained 1.
Which also kind of goes into my focusing thing. I was saying, like, you can build buildings that just hardcore give you that action you want to be your best action.
And so that's where I think this game is very interesting, because it's light enough that I feel like you can teach this to just about anybody.
Yes, I agree with that.
But there's enough nuance in the strategy that experienced gamers didn't know to rush certain things, and therefore a second or third play, that would become more readily obvious that there are combos to be had, that there are things you have to rush, and there is specializing you can do in this. One game, you can go all in on filling this warehouse, and you'll get a ton of points doing that. Another game, you could fill the bank and get 11 points out of that. And in those same games, you may not be doing a whole lot over here.
And all these.
And all these bonuses at the bottom. We didn't even talk about these kind of like shields up here that you can fill in, and the first person that fills them in gets an additional action. So I like that there's a lot of things that multiple people are racing for, because you get these sort of added benefits, but the first person that gets them gets this super bonus. So I like that you can specialize. That adds replayability. There's multiple ways to play this game well and strategize it, but it's easy to learn. And so I think when you've got, again, a game that can be taught to just about anybody, that has nuanced strategy and different strategies to try every game, you've got an elegant game with replayability that plays in 45 minutes and costs it's pretty cheap. You can get this game fairly inexpensive. There's a ton of sheets inside of there, not a ton of components, but the gameplay you get,
but it doesn't,
for the playtime and the cost, I think is a very, very good purchase.
I think I could also see playing this solo and just seeing like how the solo mode works, and like Because there are some games. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be one that it's like, because there are definitely some games where it's like, I don't like to play with anybody. I'd rather play it solo. This wouldn't be one of those necessarily, but I am interested in seeing what the solo mode looks like and everything.
Yeah, like this game we just played, I didn't even buy a single location, which that's the first game I've played like that. And
that's why you
decided
lost.
within a couple, I lost by 3. I decided very early in the game I was just going to see if I could pull it off.
I lost by 23, and I had the most buildings.
The locations don't ensure you any points unless you pull the right ones.
No, yeah, they gave me no points.
Rub it in.
So, I mean, yeah, you got to get ones that help your strategy.
Yeah, see, Dan's right with the focusing, right? Like, I go all in on the wizards, so it's like I was grabbing the scholars. So I was getting books and goods, from just that same guy. So
getting the ones that
beneficial. So when you're drawing one chip, you're getting multiple effects from the same
multiple
thing.
things from one guy. Yeah. Yes,
that's why I recommend that too.
Yep, definitely.
All right, do we want to give it our final score?
Ooh, yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Spencer from the Board Game Rundown. I wanted you to know that we have started a Patreon. Right now, it's $5 to join. It's going to help us a lot. We want to give you more content like this, and if you want more content like this, help us out. Like I said, it's $5 right now. It may start going up if we get a lot of people, so get in early.
So we're each going to rate this game out of 10. And we're going to use 0.5s because variability. And then at the end, we're going to average it all together for one score for BGG and Discord and stuff like that. But we will first give our personal ones in case you relate to one of our personal gaming styles more than the others.
Sweet.
So if you hate roll and writes, maybe listen to mine. If you love roll and writes, maybe listen to Bob. Those are the only 2 people you really need to listen to.
You're 100% right, Dan.
Write that down or remember that. That was said on film.
All right, Bobby, what's your score for Joan of Arc?
I really enjoy it. I would say if you've got time, I would definitely do normal Orléans. But if you're trying to cut that play time down or play with somebody who's more into lighter games, this is a solid go-to. I'd give it a 7.5. I'd recommend it. I'd probably buy it. Not my favorite roll and write, and not my favorite version of Orléans, but still good.
Dan.
So I know that bar is about to be lifted a bit, so time for me to set a low default for it to be lifted back up. Listen, I just don't rate roll and writes high, guys. Sorry, that's me. I'm Dan, and that's my personal opinion. And I think the highest I can go is a 6.5 on this. It's not bad. It's fine. I don't know if I'd want to play it again. That's just who I am. And like Bob said, I don't even really like Orléans that much. But like, I just would never rather play this than Orléans. Like, sure, you're going from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, right? Okay, well, if we don't have an hour and a half, I'll find something else. That's just who I am. Sure. So if you want to listen to my review, it's a 6.5, and I apologize.
I think that's fair.
I'll go next. So that was the order of final thoughts. Sure. It's a 7 for me. I think it's a very solid game. 7, anything below 7.5, I'm not like eager to go out and get. This is a game though that I don't have a lot of complaints other than this just isn't my favorite style, and I would rather play Orléans.
Sure.
But I do think it's very well designed. I don't have any gripes about anything like that. So it's a 7. I feel like that's a pretty solid and fair score. Mr. Mike.
13 out of 10.
All right, I'm giving this an 8. It's an 8 for me because an 8 is one I'd want to go out and buy and put in my collection, which I did without a whole lot of research just because the price point was low enough to, like, I could wing it and see if I liked it, and I do.
And you like Orléans, I assume.
I like Orléans.
Yeah,
and
when you've almost already gotten your money's worth out of this with the...
I played this like 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a value.
And I've already got a friend who likes this quite a bit. It's very fun two-player. The game changes quite a bit between player counts. There's a lot more competition racing for these trading houses when everybody's got to like pay attention to where people are building them. Right. I like that interaction, and you don't get that in a lot of roll and writes. Like Twilight Inscription does it. You have to pay attention to your neighbors.
There's a lot of things.
But it's a beast.
It's also a beast and has 4 boards this size.
Yeah.
Per player.
But this does a good job of being a roll and write with player interaction, and I really haven't seen a lot of that.
It's true.
I've played a lot more roll and writes recently, so I was very late to the bus, and I'm very glad to have this in my collection. I like what it does in a short period of time. I like that I can try different strategies every time I play it, which really, I need replayability in my games, and this has it. I also think even though this box looks big, it's only because of the size of the rule book and the size of the player sheets.
Right.
I could condense this down, just carry the sheets, and I actually have a portable solution that I may use for this, and it's those little 3x5 photo containers. I could just put these sheets on the outside of the container and fill this with the 3x5 container and make a much portable version of this box. So
the box is big.
No, the box
thin.
isn't that
Skinny
big.
and
It's
thin.
super
It's skinny.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's just it only had a well in there. So
Yeah, right.
But I feel like anytime I've got a short play time, a game that I can teach anybody, and I can condense it and make it very portable, and give me fulfilling gameplay, that's a big bonus for me. So it's easily an 8 for me. I'm very happy I picked this up.
So if you take all of our scores and we add them together, beep, boop, 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 7.3.
There we go.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. I feel like that reflects everybody's experiences with it, right?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
100% right, Dan. But no, I'm glad we got to play it. It definitely not like a lot of times when I come up to like a game night or something and somebody's like, well, I got this rolling right, and I'm like, blah, blah, I'll find something else to do for a minute. This one I would sit down and do again. Where normally I'm trying to dodge them.
Yeah.
So Mike, thank you for bringing it in and bringing it to our attention so we could get a crack at it. Because it wasn't bad.
It's also fairly new. Went straight to retail and is available.
Sweet.
So if you like
Even
what you
better.
heard, go pick it up. It's
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
Call your FLGS. If they don't have it, they'll order it for you because most of them are pretty cool like that.
They
and
are.
they'd rather have your business.
Right.
If you made it through this far through the video, please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. But because of Dan, like, subscribe, do all those things.
Also, if you're a returning subscriber, our analytics, to use a big word, tells us that only like 5% of you have rung the bell. And I don't know if you understand how important that is, because there is a very high chance that our videos are not even being sent to your sub box if you don't ring that bell, because you're probably subscribed to 8 million people, and the algorithm just decides which videos to put in your sub box. It does not put all your subscriptions in your sub box because it would be updating every 5 seconds. So ringing that bell is very important if you want to be notified to our videos. Just letting you guys know.
There
You
go.
can even turn notifications off on YouTube. We don't care as long as you've rung the bell. I don't like being bombarded with notifications
Right.
either. I turn all YouTube notifications off. But I'm
The bell's still
But he's
But I
ringing.
want
ringing
the
the
bells
bell
in my sub
is
box.
still
Yeah.
rung.
He's ringing all them bells.
Correct.
Like,
All right.
I subscribe to someone, sorry, really quick, called Captain Disillusion, if you guys know him. He uploads a video once a year, and I really need to see that video show up in my sub box when he uploads, because I don't know when he's going to do it. So the bell's just very important, is all I'm saying.
So Dan's saying he likes prolific content creators. All right, guys. For the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Dan.
Mike.
Thanks for watching.